Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. And so with that, I'm just going to do a tiny spiel, and then we're going to get to the main event. So, 1 sec. Like, pull something up on my
Before you
laptop.
start, I'm just gonna run my YouTube live. You want to give me like 2 seconds?
Oh yeah, you can go for it. And if everyone could tap your screens, like the live, share it out to anybody that you think might be interested. Unquestionable Calvin, how you feeling? How you feeling?
Not bad, man. How are you? I'm still. So I'm just gonna preface with like I have this like I don't know, getting over a sickness thing going on. So you might hear me coughing every now and then. So just beware. I'm not choking. Just getting over this throat thing going on.
Yeah, totally fine. Totally fine. But yeah. But and then yeah, Wi-Fi. Tell me whenever you're ready. Booyah, booyah. But I look forward to this debate. I'm looking forward to hearing like the arguments from both sides and like what points are going to be made. Sir's here. Oh my gosh, sir! Don't ask that deathless question. Someone got sound. I have like a little bit of background noise, but hopefully it's not like terrible. Let me see. Checking. While we're at it, I should probably check my audio real quick on YouTube. Checking my audio. Checking my audio. Deathless question. Someone got sound. I have like a little bit of background. Okay, yeah, that's good. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I think like okay. So I guess I'll preface. I'm probably gonna have like noise in the background. Someone's watching like TV in my house. Is it like? Is it too much? I think I'll turn off my. I'll like mute myself during like openings and cross examinations, and so each section will be clean because I'm gonna mute myself for most of it, so it shouldn't be like too much of an interruption. But yeah, we're just waiting on Wi-Fi Gospel, and while we're waiting, everyone could just tap your screens, like the live, share it with whoever you seem fit, and yeah. Is noise can? Oh wait, actually, let me.
All right, we should be good.
Okay, bet. Let me. Okay, cool. I do have like a remove background noise feature. Does that help?
It's still there a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it helps too much, honestly.
Oh, okay. But cool. I guess with that we're gonna get started. But hello everyone. There's 29 people in here. Thank you guys for being here. This is COCO-MANIA, the Ethics Dilemma. It's going to be one of the events that I host by myself. I also host events on Day of Debates, but those are like Day of Debates events. Tonight we have which is better for society, Christian ethics or secular ethics? It's going to be Unquestionable Calvin versus Wi-Fi Gospel. They're going to be debating today, and the format for their debate is going to be they're going to have 4-minute openers, then they're going to have a big 44-minute open dialogue period, and then 4-minute closers. It's going to be like a 1-hour debate. I really appreciate you guys being here. In regards to gifts, if you guys have any spare change, I know we're kind of like in a bad economy right now. If you have any spare change, gift the debaters first. They're here. They're entertaining you for the night. And then if you have any extra, gift me. You know, I'm just the host. I'm just taking the time. But the debaters have taken time out of their day to entertain you guys tonight. If you have any spare change, it would be awesome. But also, gifts are not that important. We just appreciate you guys being here and supporting the project. And I can't do these events without you guys watching. So I genuinely appreciate it. But yeah, that's going to be the format. That's going to be the debate. That's going to be the topic. I do have background noise, but I will mute during the different sections. So with that, we're just going to get to the debate. And in regards to this prompt, there's not really like an affirmative. It's kind of like secular versus Christian. So who wants to go first on their opener?
I don't mind going first.
That was what.
Do you want to go? You can go.
But I don't. If you want to go first too, that's fine. You can go first.
Shoot, I'll just get it out of the way.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then you'll have 4 minutes on the clock, and you don't have to use all the time. You can say, I'm done, I concede my time, and yeah, you can end the timer early. So
Yeah.
the timer starts whenever you say your first word.
All right, cool. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. It's a nice, nice to have you, finally like be able to collaborate a little bit. So thanks for having me first and foremost. And Wi-Fi Gospel, thanks for being here, of course, taking your time out of your super busy day, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't have a super long thing to go through, so it shouldn't take my whole 4 minutes. But I did write a little bit of a blip here. I'm now just bear with me now. I'm not a good writer, but I mean I'm gonna do my best here. Um, so essentially, we determine what is right or wrong through social networking, and as a species, we want to protect ourselves and others so that we can successfully pass our genes and lived experiences or traditions to the next generation, furthering the human experience and building a thriving society for well-being of our communities. If we unalive, harm, or maim someone physically or emotionally, they will not be able to pass on those genetics as well as experiences of their life in general. Essentially, my position boils down to I don't want to be physically harmed, mentally or physically. So I don't want, or I don't think that the morally superior thing to do from my personal subjective standpoint would be to hinder or end someone's life experiences by harming them physically or emotionally. Unless, of course, to stop another person or persons from harming other people. If they want to harm themselves, that's on you, man. But as far as others, but of course not in retaliation. I want to be a good person because I like being a good person, and I'm more used to society alive and not imprisoned. I grew up in a society where these things are seen as wrong, but who knows? I mean, if we grow up in another part of the world, it could be thought of differently. We can decide collectively as a society what is right or wrong and equate a punishment to the crime in question that we collectively agree is a fair punishment. Hence why here in America, for example, we have a court system with due process. No need for a God belief to determine that we don't want to hurt people or who aren't hurting us, as well as hurt people intentionally and unprovoked. In some other countries, it may be okay to harm other people for X reasons, and there might be a large portion of that society that even agrees with harming those certain groups of people. But there is a guaranteed to be someone who doesn't. Societal norms can change as they have, here in America, for example. For centuries, we used to believe that having slaves was okay, and now we don't, as well as other parts of the world. Because we all agreed that it's harmful, and we can function just fine, and in fact better, if we integrated and welcomed these people into our communities rather than the opposition to, the opposition to the norms in question can be challenged with a collective group of people discussing their positions and coming to a common understanding, but in the end, based on what is best for the community. But as explained, harming people mentally or physically is more often than not harmful to society as a whole. And again, none of this is requiring a belief in an invisible magic man in the sky to come to this conclusion. If you need the threat of eternal torture and hellfire, or at the very least, the threat of being separated, quote unquote, from God if you're hurting someone, to stop you from hurting that someone, you were never a good person to begin with. You're a bad person on a leash. And that's where I'm going to concede my time.
Okay, thank you for that opening statement. Next, we're going to have Wi-Fi Gospel's opening statement. So you're going to get 4 minutes on the clock. And let me end the timer, and then your timer, Wi-Fi Gospel, starts whenever you say your first word.
All right, thanks for having me for this debate. Thank you, Calvin, for doing this with me. Appreciate you. So for the sake of this debate, I'm willing to grant that all Christians live in a shared delusion. God isn't real and Christianity is false. However, even if Christianity was completely false, totally made up by humans, and the God of the Bible was inconsistent with his own moral code, loved slavery and G-side, and just generally liked to fuck with people, Christian ethics would still be better for society than secular ethics. And how so, you might ask? Fair question. Well, we're just going to look at the data. We're going to follow the science. Birth rates are important because if you don't have a society, you can't have a better society. PubMed, Religiosity and Fertility in the United States, the role of fertility intentions, came up with this. Women who say religion is very important have a 2.3 birth rate, which is 2.3 per woman, births per woman. Somewhat important, 2.1. Not important or no religion is 1.8. That's below the replacement rate. You can't replace yourselves. You need religious people to replace society. We have adoption. Hamilton, Cheng, and Powell, 2007, social forces. Conservative Protestants have a 65% higher adoption rate. Catholics have a 33% higher adoption rate. Non-religious have the lowest adoption rate in all models. Divorce. Research gathered from a 14-year study from the Human Flourishing Program at Harvard University shows that regular religious service attendance is associated with 50% lower divorce rates. Outcomes for children. Again, Harvard Human Flourishing Program. 2018 to 2020. 5,000 plus children followed for years. 12% lower risk of depression. 33% lower risk of alcohol and drug use. 18% higher levels of reported happiness. 29% higher likelihood of volunteering. 40% lower risk of early sexual activity. Children in religious active families were 40% less likely to use drugs. 34% less likely to be suspended from school. Children raised religiously had 30 to 50% lower rates of delinquency, depending on the behavior measured. 47% lower probability of smoking. 26% lower probability of heavy drinking. 33% lower probability of MJ use. 57% lower chance of early sexual activity. More donation, money, and time. The Lilly School of Philanthropy did a study in 2012. They found that persons with some religious affiliation, which is at least some or more, gave more than double in annual charitable donations than those with no religious affiliation. In fact, the Hoover Institution did a study, Religious Faith and Charitable Giving Analysis. According to their data, religious people are about 10 percentage points more likely than secular or non-religious people to give to non-religious causes. That means Christians and religious people, especially in America, 85% Christian, maybe down to 70% now, but still majority Christian. They're giving more to non-religious causes than secularists are. Why is that? They're also 21 points more likely to volunteer, 60% versus 39%. Now, for sake of time, I'm not going to go through the studies for these next 4 points, but I do have them. Higher rates of happiness and life satisfaction, lower rates of unaliving, depression, and substance abuse, less likely to commit crime, better workplace ethics and integrity. The majority of secularists in America grew up in at least a nominal Christian home. So why is it that when they move away from Christian ethics, they become a drain on society? Could it be that the belief in Sky Daddy actually makes people better? Surely that can't be the case. No, wait, actually, that is exactly what the data and science shows. Calvin, are you going to deny the science, man? That's my time.
Okay. With that, that's going to conclude the opening statements. And given the format, now we're going to move into a open section of open dialogue for 44 minutes. You guys both control the time. This is your time to establish your position and delegitimize your opponent's position. And so, let's see. It's going to start whenever I set up the timer. Let me get it. And yeah, it starts whenever anyone says their first word.
Cool. So I appreciate you giving kind of your understanding of morality and ethics in kind of like a meta-ethic way. But could you kind of make the case of why secular ethics is actually better for society?
Well, yeah, I mean, essentially I see, all I can do is use myself as an example, right? Because I believe in that morality is subjective in general. So I think that, as I said in my opening, that we all come to a mutual understanding as to like what is a good or right or wrong thing to do. And we, create a punishment or reward even possibly for, whatever that action is. But yeah, that's kind of where I come from. So like, I'm not doing things because I'm scared of, because I'm scared of Sky Daddy. I'm not doing things, not even necessarily for my own benefit. Like I help, an old lady open the car door or whatever, just because I like doing that for people, right? Not because, I'm scared if I see that happen and I don't do something about it, that something bad might happen to me or my family or my, my kin or whatever. I don't do things because I'm scared of what would happen if I don't do it, right? Like I just do something because I like the way it feels to be a good person. And yeah, so that's kind of where it's coming from.
Yeah, but how does that make society better?
So bottom line is I think that believing in Sky Daddy is not going to be beneficial to your well-being in the end. I think that overall we can rationalize better and come to reasonable, realistic conclusions on things, using science for, the big word science or whatever. I think it's better to come to conclusions using, science, which you brought a lot of statistics here, which, kind of not trying to derail here, but everything that you gave me, as far as like women's well-being, adoption rate, divorce, childcare, and charity, none of that is contingent on atheism or not believing in a God. That's all just, I get it. You got statistics, and there are statistics around these things, but that it's not. None of these things that you gave me are because of atheism, right? There's no way to like demonstrate that correlation equals causation. Yeah. So sorry. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, all I really heard was that it's kind of anecdotal that you just see in your life that based on what you've experienced, you think that not believing in God leads to a better society. Is that true, or did I mishear you?
Yeah, I mean, so again, subjective, yeah. So like everything that I'm going to give you today is going to be just like quite literally my personal opinion. And like, yeah, in my personal opinion, I think it's better to treat others the way that I want to be treated. I think that it's going to not be the objectively better thing to do to, use the Bible to hinder other people's life experience, and not have them have an enjoyable life experience, right, by using the Bible to do so, because I don't think that the Bible is a good instruction manual for how we should be living and conducting our lives and treating other people.
Okay, so now do you think that people generally act based on what they believe?
Yeah, belief informs actions. Yes.
Cool. Okay, so why is it that with all the stats I gave, people who believe in Sky Daddy are objectively better for society based on the statistics I gave?
Because they're scared of if they're not.
So?
Right. We grew up in a society that a lot of the government policies and societal norms that we experience are based on the Christian faith and, Christian traditions, as well as Jewish traditions. And so a lot of the things that, we collectively have agreed that is, good or bad was, somewhat based in Christianity, right? But obviously there's the separation of church and state. I gotta keep religion out of government, right? But the thing is like you can do all these things. You can treat others the way that you want to be treated. You cannot support G-side or grape or slavery or any of these things without, being scared if you do, right? Like you don't need to. The whole thing with the God belief, right, is the fear aspect being held over you. Like if I don't hold the door open for this old lady, I'm gonna get punished for that, right? So like there's no fear aspect, right? And I'm just, exactly. Like I feel like objectively as a society, if we just work together and do things to better advance our knowledge of society and how we should function as a society, that not including a God concept in there would be better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, but just because someone, say the only reason that Christians do better for society than secularists is because they're afraid of hell or they're afraid of God, who cares? They're still doing better for society, right?
Kind of, not really. So like that's when it gets down to, right, like what you look at as being, this is where it comes back to the subjective morality thing, right? So you look at the Bible, right, and okay, so where am I going to go with this? So, yeah, the Bible promotes, slavery, G-side, great, you name it, right? Promotes all of it. And if you're using that belief, right, you can take the good bits and pieces from the Bible. I don't deny that there's good things like the Bible and that Christianity teaches. But you can do all of those things without the God part, right? Because the God part has supernatural connotations. It's basically being a good person without the supernatural baggage, right? Or the guilt baggage or the fear baggage, right? Like I'm just being a good person on my day-to-day because I want to. And I think that functioning better, like, cool, you're great. You're a good person because you're a good person on a leash, but that's scary, right? Sometimes that leash can get real short. Sometimes that leash can break. And I don't think that that's going to be the betterment for society. I think that just coming to a mutual understanding that we should treat each other the way that we want to be treated. Who gives a shit if there's a God involved? I think that's going to be better.
Yeah, but the problem is when there's a God involved, people treat other people better than when there's not.
Out of fear.
That's fine. I don't care if it's out of fear. It's still better for society, right?
I mean, I'm that's cool that, you're not, concerned with that. I mean, I'll be honest, I feel like I feel a bit sorry for you for being a good person only because you're scared. And it does, scare me, because like, what if one day you do start to deconvert, right? What if one day you read or see or experience something that starts to turn you the other way? I mean, what if God is the only thing that's holding you back from unaliving people or hurting people physically or mentally? Then like, I'm scared for you to deconstruct, right? That's scary, because I don't want to know what's going to happen once you do.
I'll tell you exactly what happens when anybody deconstructs. Statistically speaking, they have lower birth rates, they don't adopt as much, they get divorced more, there's worse outcomes for their family and their children, they don't donate as much, they don't volunteer as much, they have lower rates of happiness, almost done, lower rates of life satisfaction, higher rates of unaliving themselves, depression and substance abuse, more likely to commit crime, and they have less workplace ethics and integrity. That's what will happen.
Okay. No, that's not, because I'm quite literally a living example of that. I'm, you're just saying, 50% of statistics are pulled out of your ass. So,
and do you have proof of that?
I'm, yeah. So like, I'm an atheist.
You have
proof
that my statistics are pulled out of my ass.
Am I allowed to speak? Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, you just misrepresented me, but I'll let you finish.
I don't care. Let me speak. So yeah, I mean, if I'm, so I've been an atheist, at least out and open for, I don't know, 8 years, probably 8 years, I would say, maybe not, I don't know, somewhere around there. And I can say, at least again for myself, that I have experienced, obviously I do struggle with depression, stuff like that. I feel like that's a pretty common thing, especially here in America nowadays. America sucks. Yeah, I mean, I experienced that, right? But I'm still working towards being a better person, and better mentally, without the need for a God in there, right? So I don't have that the extra baggage of Christianity. And I used to be Christian, by the way. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know if you realize like how expensive it is to adopt. It's like incredibly realistic nowadays to like adopt. Like you can't just like go out and like purchase a kid like you can a puppy in a store. It's not like a thing, right? Like people, anyone who's watching, like you don't realize how like literally incredibly hard it is to adopt it unless you're a millionaire. There's a lot of laws and regulations around that. I worked in childcare. Yeah, it's definitely not as like easy as just walking into an adoption agency and bringing home a kid, right? Like you can't do that. It's very hard, and not a lot of people get approved for it. So it's not that people don't want to adopt, it's that it's so fucking hard to adopt that a lot of people just opt out of not doing it at all. Yeah. So anyways, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I gave you studies done by Harvard. You gave us anecdotal evidence and your opinion based on your feelings.
Yes.
Do you see how that's troubling?
No, not really, because again, I come from a subjective moral standpoint. So the thing is that like I'm a good, like the bottom line here, right? It doesn't matter like what Harvard is saying. I don't know what study you're reading. I'll be honest, I didn't look up any studies for this. I'm just a guy talking to another guy, like we're standing on the side of the street having a conversation. Right. So I didn't pull a single study. I literally wrote this little tiny blip for you, and we're talking like we're just two human beings talking. We're not trying to, do a statistic thing here. Is that not what we agreed to? So, yeah, I mean, we're just having a conversation, man. So I don't have any statistics to throw back at you, because honestly, I just didn't care enough to look into them, because we're just two guys having a conversation. Right. So that's why I'm saying is that like, all I can give you is literally my opinion right now. Okay. And that's my opinion, is that unaliving people is going to be the less moral option for that person, because they're not able to experience life, right? Or to physically or mentally harm that person. That's going to be a detriment to their life experience. And I think that is, for lack of a better word, objectively better than I'm only good to this person because, God says so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get into the ethical systems because yours isn't coherent, but I don't want to just dive right into it because it's not necessarily the topic of the debate. But I want to point something out, because your anecdotal argument is just, you can't really base anything off of that. I mean, do you generally believe like women have longer hair than men, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes.
But most of the time they don't.
Everyone grows hair, right? Like everyone grows hair.
So most of the time, so if it's sometimes, that means most of the time women have shorter hair than men?
No.
Okay, so most of the time then women have longer hair than men, right?
I don't even know if I'd be comfortable saying most of the time. I don't know. I can't say. I don't think I would agree with that.
So you don't think that most women have longer hair than most men?
No, it's not something I can agree to. No.
Okay. Do you make any generalities at all?
No, I try not to.
Okay. Are people who live in America citizens of America?
I mean, technically, yeah.
Okay, most of them, right? Not all of them.
Yep. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I guess you
So
could say
now,
yes, yeah. I'm
now,
very
what if I said,
comfortable
but my neighbor is an illegal immigrant? Would that then mean that most people who live in America are not citizens of America?
with that. No, just because your neighbor is an illegal immigrant, which let me just preface too, I don't believe anyone's illegal.
Okay,
We're all
that's
on stolen land, anyways. So I mean, yeah, I mean, technically, if your neighbor is not a registered citizen of the United States, then no, you could not say that most people are not citizens.
right.
Doesn't
So, and we do that based off statistics, correct?
sure.
Okay. So when you said, yeah, secularists,
I never said
give less,
secularists. I don't even like that term. I don't even know what that
whatever,
means.
atheists, whatever you want to call it, give less than Christians, but I'm a living proof because I give more than Christians. You see how that anecdotal evidence actually does nothing, even if it's 100% true?
Well, no, because you were making a generality saying that atheists. Like, I'll tell you what you said. I'll tell you what happens when people deconstruct. So that
Yeah.
is you know that's you didn't say most. I'll tell you what happened when most people deconstruct, or when some people. You said I'll tell you what happens when people deconstruct. That
Well,
is
obviously.
so that's you equating to everybody. And so I was in plugging my personal experience, saying that, hey, your statement that you just made was wrong because I'm an example of it, right? And then touching on again that the whole adoption thing was just incorrect.
Right, but these statistics include like the secularists who give, tens of thousands of dollars more than Christians a year, and it also includes those who don't give any money, and that's how we come up with statistics. So when we take all of this into account, we see that Christians give more, along with all the other things I listed, than secularists or people who are not affiliated with any religion.
Out of fear.
That it doesn't matter if it's out of fear; they're still
Right.
better for society.
And see, like, that's the thing that I think we're getting lost on, is that, like, genuine, like, if there's not really so much more we can go to. If you're doxastically close to the conversation, you're going to say, God, like, yeah, okay, all the Christians, let's say all Christians, right? Just for the sake of this analogy that I'm using, they're only donating and adopting and not divorcing and promoting women's well-being, whatever, childcare, because they're scared of God. Like, cool, that's great, but like in the bottom of like, that's great. Like, we can agree that like being a good person, in general, whether a God is telling you to do that, whether Krishna or Allah or whoever is telling you to be a good person, and do good things for other people, I really don't have a problem with that. Really, I genuinely don't. It's just the problem being that there's other extra baggage that religion comes with, that comes with those beliefs, like treating certain people well and not treating other people the same, right? Like, the Bible never condemns slavery, right? So if we're using the Bible for treating other people the way we want to be treated, right, we can't use the Bible, because I mean the Bible's literally talking about how you can purchase and own slaves for a certain amount of time, et cetera, right? So that's why I would say that, like, cool, you can treat others the way that you want to be treated, but you're going against like the core belief system of the religion that you're supposedly following. So like, you're actually being a good person using secular ethics rather than the Christian ethics, because the Christian ethics would force you to own people as property, for example.
So if somebody lives by Christian ethics, then they would have to own people as property?
Yes,
Okay, so where in America are Christians owning people as property?
exactly. It means that just they're bad Christians.
So,
That's where I come
ah,
from. Like, you cannot follow
okay.
you cannot follow Christianity the way the Bible says. You can't.
Okay,
At
you
least
see
not
how
here in
this
America
works
without
out.
being imprisoned or unalived.
I can pull up the quotes if you want, because I don't have them exactly here. But there were tons of atheists in communist societies who literally believed that eradicating religion by the sword was going to be best for society.
Cool. And
Is
I
that
can
a
go to the
secular
Crusades,
ethic?
man. Like we can name off wars that, you know. So the thing is that there's never been a war in the name of atheism. That has never been a thing. I would love to see you name one, but there's been plenty of religions or wars in the name of God. I mean, there's dozens, if not hundreds, that have, you know, major wars.
So there's never been a secular society that has gone to war.
No, I didn't say that. I said that there's never been a war in the name of atheism. No.
Yeah. So would it be based on secular ethics if it was a secular nation?
No, not necessarily, because I don't think that
What
politics
ethics?
and secular ethics are technically the same thing. So some people can, you know, start wars over money, right? Material things, right? But they're not fighting over, I don't believe in a God more than you. Like that's not, or like your God is dumb and it doesn't real, so therefore war, right? Like that's not like a thing. That's never happened.
So does secular ethics have any sort of beliefs about money?
I mean, objectively, genuinely couldn't tell you, honestly. I really,
Okay.
because I mean, I don't think
So
personally. I mean, again, off just my opinion, off the fly. No, I don't think that it does, because I mean, money is not secular, right? Like money is money.
so I can be a thief and live by secular ethics.
Yes, and you can be a thief and live by Christian ethics.
Well, not if it goes against Christian ethics, right?
So that's again, like, yeah, right. Like you can not own slaves, but you can still live by some Christian ethics, right? But you just are you're cherry picking the ones that you want to follow and believe in.
Okay. So just to get back to the topic here, other than Calvin says so, why is secular ethics better for society?
Because it promotes the well-being of other people outside of believing in God, because God says so. Like,
Okay.
again,
So
secular ethics, the things that secular, quote unquote, secularism or secularists, that weird word that you like to use, them using reason and, you know, I can't even think of the word that I'm thinking of. Yeah, they're using reason, right, to come to a conclusion on what is better for their society, and nowhere in there is a God plugged in there. But you, or Christians at least, feel the need to have the God plugged in there, and I'm not seeing the necessity for it, because if you add the God in there, it just adds more baggage that you're unable to substantiate.
okay, that's fine. So basically, if you believe in something that's false, right? That's made up by humans, then your ethics can't be good.
I'm sorry, can you restate your question?
You're saying that even though, based on the studies I've given, Christians are better for society, if you grant me those studies, you're saying that because of the baggage of a false belief in God, those ethics would still not be good for society, or are not better than secular ethics.
Yeah, so I didn't necessarily say that. So like Christians donating and not divorcing, you know, even though I'm sure, you know, sorry, not to diverge again, but the whole divorce rate thing kind of drives me crazy too, because you know the whole thing with like Christianity is like there's a lot of kind of negative connotations behind being divorced. A lot of people will stay in their marriage because they're frankly scared to leave, or unwilling. You know, they're scared of what's going to happen if they leave, whether it's physical or emotional pain, or even financial pain. So
That's true for everybody.
They stay with their spouse just because, you know, God says so, and they essentially don't
That's
want to go
true
to
for
hell.
everybody.
To
That's not
be a
just true for
to be a
Christians.
good, you know, God-fearing Christian woman, you shouldn't be divorcing your wife, so you should just put up with it, right? But yeah, I think that living a life in which, or you know, working with a society in which we can develop secular ethics, right, and how to treat other people, how to support other people, financially, emotionally, physically, and you know, develop each other's, you know, to develop ourselves as a society, then that is going to be objectively better than doing it just because the reason for it, bottom line, is because God says so, and or I'm scared if I don't.
Okay, so what if secularists, the reason that they do things is because they say so?
That's their subjective opinion.
Right. So because Why is it different when God says so versus when Calvin says so?
Because when God says so, it has a fear connotation behind it. It is God saying, do this or else. I don't have the or else, right? Like we collectively come along as a society and we can, like, for example, if I'm in a room with 10 people and the 10th person unalives the 8th person, right? There's now 7 people in the, I don't know, 7 people in the unaliver guy. We can all collectively agree, hey, do we want to keep this guy in the group? Because obviously he's unaliving other people. We probably, I think that, it'd probably be best if we just excommunicated him from the group and let him just be over there somewhere. So let's make a jail cell for him where he can hang out, think about the things that he did, right? So like we can develop that all without the need for a God belief, right? So that's why I reference like the due process system in my opening.
Yeah, but ultimately, let's say Christianity is false. Wouldn't God just be another person?
I mean,
someone wrote the book, right?
I mean, yeah. Well, I don't think it would be just one person. I think it'd be arguably hundreds,
People.
if not thousands of people. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the
therefore,
difference
I mean,
then?
yeah. So I mean, I get where you're going for, right? That therefore the Bible is, the opinions of multiple collective people coming together, right? But also,
Yeah.
again, we got to think of the time frame in which these, the time frame in which these laws and policies were written. Do we think that owning people as property and beating them to within an inch of their life, as long as they don't die within a couple days, do we think that is better for society, or that, like the Bible says, or not doing that is better for society and letting that person incorporate themselves into society and help us out and just and develop better? What is going to be better? I'm sorry, but like
so-
obviously maybe 2,000 years ago, you read that and you say, yeah, that the slavery is going to be the best way to go, obviously. But today we have developed, right? We have developed as a nation and as a society to know that harming other people does not benefit us in the end. So therefore, we should, integrate them.
Except for the fact that the devices we're all talking on right now are the product of slave labor, correct?
I mean, sure.
Yeah, it seems like everybody here must be okay with it then.
So not necessarily. No.
Yeah, so why are you providing money to a product and companies that use slave labor?
Do you think that it's possible for me as a 30-year-old man, married man in America to survive without any type of technology? Do you think that that's possible for me to do?
Okay, do you think it was possible for Israel to survive without slavery?
No, but wait, I asked the question. So, like, do you think that it's possible for me to survive as a
If I
30-year-old
grant
man?
it, now yes, absolutely. Like you know, there are Amish people, right, who live in America. Yeah. So you could go become Amish, but you'd rather be
It's
more
not
comfortable and use products that are produced by slave labor.
Yeah, I could, but it's not reasonable or rational because I didn't grow up in a society like that. So I quite literally would not know where to go. So I more than likely would just die on the side of the highway. Let's be honest. I can admit that. I'm kind of stupid. I'm kind of stupid street smart. So
All right,
I'm not, walking on the street and knowing how to fend for myself out there. I'm just not. Sorry. But that's
the same
just
argument
the way that I
works
grew up,
for the people
right?
who
That's
wrote
way
the
that we
Bible.
grew up. So neither of us are necessarily like. If you want to get real technical, yeah, technically, yeah, phones are built using slave labor. Yes, they sure are. There's nothing that I can personally do to change that at this moment, right? But we can come together as a society, and over time, we can develop a system in which this is not needed, right? So we haven't gotten there yet. We're still working on that society. So that's why, like here in America, we have to rely on other countries that use slave labor because we don't have the resources here to do it ourselves yet. But we are still working on doing that. We're developing a country, right? We're always developing.
Okay, so you're totally fine with benefiting from slave labor because
No.
changing your life, let me talk, I just let you talk. Changing your life would be hard, but you want to condemn the people who wrote the Bible because they said slave labor was okay, but you wouldn't give them the same charity in saying that they could have changed it because it would have been really hard for them to change it, right?
Because it's different.
No, it's not different. You're using a double standard.
It's a presentism thing, right? Like the society is different 2,000 years ago than it is today, right? Like, and as I said, I cannot survive as a 30-year-old married man. I would not have made it this far. I grew up in fucking downtown Detroit, right? Like I didn't grow up on a farm or nothing like that to where I know how to build these things. I grew up in downtown Detroit with a single mom. So like not a whole lot of, as a Christian, by the way. So yeah, I grew up in downtown Detroit, right? Like, I'm not gonna go fucking foraging for berries out in the middle of downtown Detroit, dude. Like, that's not a reasonable thing that you can do. I wouldn't have even made it to 30 years old if I had to do that. Are you kidding me?
So with all the technology and resources we have today, it's still very hard for you to change your life in order to disrupt the slave labor.
Yeah,
correct?
it is.
Okay.
It sure is.
Do you think it was harder for people 2,000 years ago to do so?
I couldn't say for sure. Couldn't say.
You couldn't say for sure. You're just being uncharitable here, but that's fine. We can move on.
I'm just genuinely, I couldn't say. Like, I don't know how easy it was for those slaves to, disappear. You know, how easy it was for them to sneak away from their I have no idea. I didn't live during that time. I'm not a historian. I don't know. I'm just
Okay.
being honest. Don't know.
I have a quick syllogism for you. Are humans animals?
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay to own animals?
Sure. Yeah, I guess.
So therefore it's okay to own humans, correct?
No.
Why not?
No, it comes down to, that's actually fucking disgusting, man. That's crazy that you just said
It's
that.
called an argument. I'm not saying it's okay.
No, it's actually just crazy that you said we own animals.
Keep
therefore we
pearl
can own
clutching. Just
humans.
answer
Like,
the
that's
question,
fucking
dude.
crazy, bro.
Jeez.
No, we can't just own people, right?
Yeah. Why
Because people we are animals, right?
not? Okay.
Okay,
And it's okay to own animals.
Yes, it's okay to own. Well, even again, like using that term "own animals," I'm just iffy because like I'm creeping closer to veganism, man. I'm getting real close to veganism here. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't think that's it's necessarily moral to like own animals. I think that it's moral to allow them to have a charitable, exciting life, right? Also, I'm not sure how this even equates to secular ethics, by the way. I'm sorry. The whole animal argument.
I'm using your own standard against you, and it's working.
So yeah, no, owning people, like, because people have, again, it comes down to human rights, right? Like animals don't have the same rights as humans. Let's be honest, right?
Okay. Perfect. Human
Would
rights.
you
What are
agree-
human
would you
rights?
agree that a cat has different, like, what's the word that I'm looking for? It has different, what the hell is the word that I'm looking for?
Cats don't
do you
have
think the
human
cat
rights.
matters just as much as the human? I mean, do you think that they're equating?
No, I don't. But I'm not
Like, if you
asking
had to pick
from
between
my
the
world.
cat
I'm
or the
asking from
human
yours.
surviving. Which one would you pick?
Yeah, of course. But I'm asking you from your worldview. It doesn't matter what coming from my world. I'm doing an internal critique.
Yeah, because I don't think that owning people as property is the objectively, quote unquote, like big quote unquote, objectively moral thing for people to do for other people, because that is hindering their life experiences, right? They're not able to experience life to the fullest. Cats don't need very much more than a 1,700 square foot fucking house, right? Like, they don't need a whole lot of space, right? So cats are happy living their life experiences in your home. Humans are not cats. Humans are not dogs. Humans are birds or lizards or whatever it might be. Humans aren't the same thing. We are animals, but we are not the same animals. So no, it's not okay to lock, Grandma Boone up in the dog crate for a little bit. It's not the objective, because it's
Okay.
not going to better
This is very
us as a
easy.
society.
Yeah, this is extremely easy. Ready? And I have to preface this because if I don't, you'll pearl clutch and the chat will misunderstand. I'm not saying this is what I think. It's called an argument, okay? People in America use those same exact arguments that you just said to say that black people could be owned as slaves. You understand that, correct?
No.
They didn't say that they were less than human, that they didn't need what the white man needed. They didn't use those arguments.
Oh no, they did. They did. They
Okay.
said that they are less than human and own them as property. Yeah, and that's why we have grown today as a society to realize that that was not correct. That was it. That was not wrong. That they are in fact people.
Okay. So if humans are animals, and it's okay to own animals, why is it not okay to own humans? What's the symmetry breaker?
Dude, I just explained that to you. Why do
No,
I have
you
to go through it
just
again?
you just said that you don't think it's okay. I'm asking,
Yeah,
what's the symmetry
I'm telling
breaker?
you, I'm telling because again, I can only give you my subjective opinion because morality is subjective. So I can only give you my opinion. That's all I have for you. So I'm telling you that
Yeah, but-
owning people as property hinders their life experiences and does not allow them to experience the life to the fullest abilities that they would like, right? They are owned as property and not allowed to experience the life in which they would truly want to and have the ability to. They are captured, right? But they are not a cat. A cat can be quote unquote captured and kept in your house for, fucking 18, 19 years, however long cats live, right? But you can't lock grandma up in a crate, for the rest of her life and beat her to within an inch of her life and then go out and say that you're still doing a good thing because you donated to the Salvation Army, right? Like, you can't do that.
Okay, so what if you owned a human in the same way that you owned a cat?
What do you mean?
You kept them in your house. They only ate what you gave them. They only did what you told them to do. They were only allowed. Like, what I'm asking, what the symmetry breaker here. I don't care that subjective morality is. Let me finish.
Not understanding, because this is now the third fucking time I'm having to go through this.
All right, stop gish galloping. Let me actually ask the question.
Okay, so let me go through this again one more time for you, because for some
how long
reason
are you gonna take? Are you gonna go on for 3 minutes again?
So owning people as property, right? Like, you can't, if you own someone as property, you lock them up in your house and you don't allow them to go outside, or let's say you even force them to cut some logs for you out there or something, right? You force them to cut
why
logs,
did you add that?
Drive you to the.
You're misrepresenting my question.
Drive you to the fucking doctor appointment.
Are you like? Is my mic on? Can you hear me?
And you're not allowing them to live the life that.
Is this just going to go on like this, Coco? You're just going to keep on misrepresenting my position and not even
allow me to
allowing
finish
the discussion?
My thought.
Wait, hold on,
so
guys.
if you lock that person up and you do not allow them to experience life, then you're hindering their life experiences, right?
Hold on, guys. Let me start the timer at 11 minutes, but let's try to speak one after the other, I guess. Give me 1 sec.
So, can you actually answer my question then?
I just did 3 times. I'm not doing it again.
No, you actually didn't answer the question. You added things that I didn't add. I asked why was it not okay to own a human the way you would own a cat? Do you make cats cut up logs for you?
And let's let him finish
I don't understand what you mean.
Finish his answer. Go ahead, unquestionable.
I'm sorry. So what do you mean by own a human like you do a cat? That's what I'm not understanding here. Is like, what do you mean own a human like you would a cat? Like, do you think I should build a cat tree for a human or something? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you let them live in your house, you feed them, but they have to listen to you. They can't go outside without your permission. All the same things you would limit a cat in doing, you own a human and you limit them in doing. Why would that be wrong?
Okay, so it is literally the same thing that I said, because you're not allowing them to experience the life that they want to the fullest experience. You are locking them inside of a building, not allowing them to leave, right? Sure, you're feeding them. Great, cool, you're feeding them. But also, I don't really, it comes down to like, how much are they feeding them, right? Like, you can say you fed them and give them a little breadcrumb, right? Like, you can say that you fed them, right? But, so, again, kind of sketched out on that. So, owning someone inside of a building, which they cannot leave that building. I don't know if you're familiar with I just watched this movie, it's called Room, right? It's actually based off of a true story, and it's about a lady who was abducted and raped, and she had a child inside of a building that had like no windows and stuff, and she was trapped in there for like, I think 7 or 8 years or something. Her kid grew up and everything in there. That is torture, dude. Like, I encourage you to watch the movie, because that's going to literally explain exactly what I'm talking about.
Then by your own standard, you can't, it's immoral to own a cat.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Well, I'm just saying, you said it's wrong to own a human, to do those things to a human. Why is it then not wrong to do those things to a cat? What's the symmetry breaker?
Because a cat is happy living its life in a building, right? A cat can live its whole life. I have a cat right now that's 11 years old. She's doing amazing, right? She's the happiest cat I ever done seen. You buy them toys, right? They eat their food. They eat their treats. You give them some pets. You get them a cat tree. Like, they're not a human.
Okay. Were there any happy slaves in America?
I'm sure there probably was that were brainwashed that way. Probably had some Stockholm syndrome. I'm sure there was, but
yeah, I would just say brainwashing your cat.
You're asking, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, you're going to say no because you can't actually honestly answer a question. Anyway,
no, well, I just
the symmetry breaker here.
Because I literally just
the symmetry breaker is human rights, right?
What I said. I'm
going to answer your question for you since you're incapable.
No, because you're not gonna misrepresent me like that. Sorry. So what I said is that I'm sure during that time period, during chattel slavery, yeah, I'm sure probably 99.9999999% of them were not happy being slaves, but I'm sorry, but you're fucking behind if you think that there's not going to be even one, maybe even two or three slaves, maybe even a couple slaves out there that were brainwashed, right? Because that was totally a thing. They were brainwashed into believing things that they thought they were happy being slaves, but they actually were not, but they believed they were, but they were not. Now you can
I'm
keep
sorry.
going.
How do you tell if someone's happy or not?
I can't.
Right, it's a self-report, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying, well, they could have been happy, but they weren't because I know better than their subjective experience.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, being tortured every day for your life is not going to make you happy. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's not.
No, you're just stuck in a logical loop and you can't get out. I
Dude,
understand.
I'm not stuck on anything.
Now, anyway, the symmetry breaker is actually human rights. It's a very easy answer. I'm surprised you couldn't get there. The problem is, human rights are completely made up, right?
Technically, yeah. Yeah, they're all a human construct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can believe things that are completely made up, and it's rational to believe in them because it makes society better, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So you should rationally believe in Christianity because it makes society better.
No, because I'm not convinced of sky daddies. So that's an extra. That's what we're talking about, the supernatural baggage thing that I kept bringing up. That's
Yeah.
the supernatural.
Sky daddy's made up,
there's
right?
An invisible magic man in the sky who's the arbiter of all things good and bad. You have to
Right.
convince
It's
me
made
that that's
up.
true. Otherwise, it's just all of us conversing amongst ourselves, right? And we're actually coming to conclusions amongst ourselves and not actually the God belief. So, no.
Is it made up?
Is what made up?
Christianity, it's fake, right? It's made up.
Yeah.
Humans made it up.
Yep.
Yeah, and so are human rights, right?
Yep.
So why do you believe in human rights if there's no evidence for them? They're
Because
made
that's
up.
the society I grew up in.
Oh, okay, and it's rational to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's rational to believe in Christianity, right?
That's how we rationalize things. We have conversations amongst ourselves, and then we come to conclusions based on what we collectively agree.
Christians discussed things among themselves, and they came up with a conclusion that Christianity is true, and the result of that is a better outcome for society than what you guys did. That's the point of the debate.
What do you mean by you guys? Like, what do you mean by that?
Secularists.
What do you mean by that, though?
Like secularists,
Like,
people without religion.
right, but like, what do you mean? Like, you've said that term this whole time. Like, secularists are doing this and this and this. Like,
Yeah,
who though? Like, who?
like people who are secular. Like I don't understand.
Like, who? Like, who is doing a thing that is bad?
So even if secularists weren't doing anything bad, which they are, I mean, Christians do bad things, secularists do
Like
bad things.
what?
Listen, let me finish, right? You were mad when I interrupted you, right? All right. Now, even if secularists weren't doing bad things, it's still not better for society because all of the studies I showed prove that Christians are doing more good things and in bigger proportion than secularists. So therefore, Christian ethics are better for society.
No. No, because they're doing things because they are scared of the outcome, regardless of whether it's better for society or not. They're not doing things because they, like I said, they are bad people on a leash. All it's going to take is one conversation amongst themselves and deciding that, oh, the Bible actually says that you can own people's property and beat them to within an inch of their life. All it's going to take is one conversation to change that around, right? And then suddenly,
many
you guys are
secularists-
owning people's property because the Bible says so, right?
How many secularists don't do bad things because they're afraid of the consequences?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, like, I don't do certain things because I'm scared of, being punished, right? But I do things for other people. Try to do the best for what is for our society, right? Make better choices for our society objectively because I like that. Not because I'm scared, not because I'm being threatened.
Well, you just said
I'm doing it just because I want
because you
to.
were scared.
But sometimes, yeah, I can choose not to do things just because I just don't want to. Yeah.
So what's the
Or
difference?
because I'm scared of the outcome if I do. Yeah, I really want Three Musketeer candy bar that's on the gas station shelf, but if I steal it, I'm going to go to jail. Yeah.
Okay. So both Christians and secularists don't do certain things based out of fear. What's the difference? How does that make secular ethics better for society? That makes no sense.
That's not what I said. So you are essentially saying what your position is, and tell me if I'm wrong, is why are you a good person? Why do you think that you're like a good person on like a day-to-day basis?
Well, I don't think I'm a good person.
Oh, because you think that you're a dirty, rotten sinner deserving of eternal punishment, right? Because you're a
No,
Christian.
what do you mean by good?
Let's not do the Jordan Peterson thing, man. Let's not.
Oh, so
that.
it's you literally just asked
so-
me what I meant by secularist. All right, don't pull that.
Yeah, and then you dodged around it.
That's
But,
hilarious.
Yeah, so man, listen, the bottom line that what this comes down to is I do things because I like being a good person. I like helping people, right? Not because God is telling me you be a good person or else. And I think that is, again, objectively going to be better for our society because we are going to do things because we want to, because we actually care about our fellow man, and not just because the Bible says so or because God says so or because a bunch of Christians say so, right? We're doing things collectively because we want to.
All right, let's say you have two neighbors, right? Your neighbor on your left is a dirtbag. His house is filthy. He's got like tweakers coming in and out of his house. You can tell he's doing shady things. And then your neighbor on your right has like the cleanest house on the block. He's always outside talking to people and helping people. And you don't know what they believe. Who do you think's better for society?
Well, I mean, if you want to get I mean, yeah, if I'm going to be honest here, then yeah, I mean, the person who's not, being all up in the D-rugs and, etc. Yeah, doing
Okay.
the stuff that is a detriment to society because drugs don't just harm just the user. They don't harm just the user. They harm all the people around them, right?
Now you find out that the neighbor on the right is a Christian and believes in Christian ethics, and the neighbor on the left is an atheist and believes in secular ethics. Does that change anything?
I mean, not really. No, I mean, still the person who has, but they're not like so.
Your whole argument's dumb.
Do you think Christian ethics is so? Again, we go back to like cherry picking Christian ethics that are actually secular ethics because they work outside of the Christian faith without the need for a God belief. That doesn't make them Christian ethics. So just because the neighbor guy is paying a lot to charity and because he's not divorcing his wife that he's abusing or he's adopting children or he's, doing XYZ, holding doors open for old ladies, none of that is requiring a God belief to do that and be a good person. He just has to because he's scared if he doesn't, right? The person that is the atheist that in this analogy that isn't doing these things, I mean, yeah, he's being hindered by life experiences bad life experiences, right? He chose the wrong experiences to do substances and he, at XYZ, right? He just made bad life choices. But everything that we're talking about, like being good for society, has nothing to do with a God belief.
Yeah, and you just admitted that actually none of that matters because in both scenarios you said the person on the right was better for society, so that defeats your entire argument.
No, but it doesn't mean that Christianity is the best for society. It just means that person's cherry-picked beliefs from the Bible that are found in other secular resources and even in other religions doesn't mean that Christianity is true or better for society. It just means that he cherry-picked the good parts in Christianity and left all the bad parts because he can't actually substantiate or defend them.
Okay, we have to stop there. With that, we're going to move to closing statements. You guys can decide who you want to go first.
We can go in the same order.
You want me to go? I can go.
Okay.
I can just go. It's all right. Yeah, well, I mean, first of all...
Give me 1 second.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Timer. And go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, first of all, again, thanks for having me up on your platform, Wi-Fi Gospel. Again, thanks for being here. I do appreciate it. I know things got a little heated here and there. I do appreciate the conversation, though, genuinely. So thank you seriously for, having a conversation with me. I would be interested to, maybe have a couple more conversations with you and just see, where exactly you're coming from. Because I think that you're a smart guy. I think that, like, really, you do genuinely care about being a good person, even though that you don't think that you are, because I think that you're, don't get me wrong, I think that your religion has convinced you that you're a bad person. I honestly, man, I really don't think you're a bad person, just from what I've heard and from what I've seen on the internet stuff. I don't think you're a bad guy. I just think that you're on a leash again, and I feel like if you cut that leash, we might get to a better understanding as to what is better for society rather than just doing things just because God is scary, right? But I mean, again, just kind of reinforcing my position is that, I treat other people the way that they want to be treated just because I like people to be happy. I like seeing people happy. I like being happy myself. I'm not doing that because God is scary. I'm not doing that out of resentment for Christianity. I'm not doing it because I'm doing it to show up Christians or anything. I'm not doing that. I just like to do that. So like at the bottom line, like on my day-to-day life, I'm not thinking about like, oh, if I don't hold this door open for this old lady, then God's gonna get me or punish me or something. That's not even something that crosses my mind. It's not anything I even think about. I mean, this internet stuff that I do is literally an hour's worth of my entire week, probably. I don't even spend this much time on this, right? Because I focus more time on the here and now and on the actual people. And that's why, man, I didn't bring any studies or anything with me because I wanted to have a conversation, right? I didn't want to, go off in like studies and statistics because I'm no expert, my guy. Like I'm not claiming to be any expert in anything. I'm just a guy who talks to people for a side job. But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy the conversation. I appreciate you for coming up. Just know, like, I think that, you're on the right track. I just think, you need to cut those strings of the supernatural stuff, man. I don't see a reason for all that extra stuff. But with that being said, thanks again for having me up. Thank you, Wi-Fi Gospel. I really do appreciate the conversation, and hope we can do this again soon.
Okay, with that, that concludes your closing statement. And then Wi-Fi Gospel, yours can start whenever you say your first word.
Yeah, Calvin, man, no hard feelings at all. Debates get heated. I actually really enjoy when debates get heated, and I hold absolutely nothing against you, and I hope the same here. I do think, though, that you need to go back and look at the studies, just for your own sake, because you said you want me to cut the strings of the puppet master of religion, in a sense, or the leash, I think you said. But we already went over what happens when that happens. People become less valuable to society. They become more dangerous to society, more likely to commit crimes. Generally speaking, of course, there are exceptions to the rule. But generally speaking, you have a worse experience as a human being, self-reported and based on unalivings, depression, substance abuse, all that stuff. So I would think twice when your goal is to deconstruct people, because what are you actually giving them? You have to think, like, statistically speaking, this person is more likely to go into depression. Statistically speaking, this person's more likely to unalive themselves. So maybe sometimes it's actually not good when you deconstruct. I wonder if you've ever thought about that. I mean, when you said that just because someone is in fear of hell or in fear of God, and that's why they do good things, I don't see how that is worse for society. And then at the end there, I gave you the example, the hypothetical of the two neighbors. And when you didn't know the beliefs of the two neighbors, you said, well, yeah, obviously the one on your right is better for society. And why was it? It wasn't because of their beliefs. It was because of their behavior, which is informed by beliefs. But even the second time when I revealed their beliefs, you still went with the neighbor on the right. You said nothing really changed. And that's because it doesn't matter if you do good things because you're afraid of hell, which is not why all Christians do good things. I mean, we also established that some secularists do good things or even don't do bad things because they're afraid of the consequences, and some Christians do. Well, also, Christians do things out of their love for God and their love for neighbor, and seculars do things out of love for neighbor as well. I agree. The problem is Christians do much more of those things when they believe in Christian ethics. And based on all the studies I gave, there were even more we could have gotten into, but that's just objectively the truth. And I would say you don't even have to believe Christianity is true. But those who live as if it is are better for society. And that was the whole point of tonight's debate. I think I proved that thoroughly. But I would love to talk on another topic sometime as well. Thank you for doing this with me, and thank you for hosting it, Coco.
Absolutely. And everybody that's in here, 35 people, that's going to be the conclusion of the debate. And so thank you guys for debating. That was an interesting debate. Maybe one day you guys could do this debate again. I'd be down to host it. I'm down anytime. Now, given that, now we're going to do audience comments, questions, critiques, and concerns. People can come up and ask the two debaters like any questions that they want to. I can do an audience poll. An audience gets to vote on who they thought won the debate. But yeah, we'll get to that. Black Stallion, you're going to be the first person up.
So I technically have 3 questions. Am I limited to 1?
You can do all 3. We only have 2 people in the comments.
So this goes to both of you. Did we ever lock down what counts as Christian ethics and secular ethics?
Well, I think that what comes down to Christian ethics is what the Bible says, right? Like we know what Christian ethics are because it's what the Bible says. I don't think that we can pin down like what secular ethics are is the thing. Like because I don't think that secular ethics are like a, it's not something
universal.
You can pinpoint, right? Like it's just something that we all collectively agree on that is not including because God said so or anything, right?
Yeah, generally when we're talking about ethics, we're talking about a set of moral principles. When we're talking about Christian ethics, those set of moral principles come from basically 2 or 3 sources. The Bible, or the people's interpretation of the Bible, which is usually the church, right, depending on what kind of denominational Christian you are, and also the culture of Christianity that you live in. So it kind of comes to those 3 sources.
So the second question is, for the statistics, this one goes towards Wi-Fi. For the statistics that you brought up, was the human experience calculated in those statistics, or did they not say?
What do you mean by human experience?
When it comes down to raising a child or adopting a child, money is a determining factor on if you feel as though you can do it. Were those statistics run with a blind financial analysis, or were they done broken down into financial analysis? You brought up a statistic about divorce, adoption, and childbirth.
Yeah, so considering childbirth, that's one of the most interesting ones because generally speaking, the poorer you are, the more children you have, which is very interesting to me.
Yes, I still want the financial breakdown of that.
Like you want the evidence that poorer people have more children?
No, I want to see, is it a matter of, oh, they're equal going up to a certain point, or is it just a matter of, on all financial levels, people who don't have children or adopt, what was the third thing? Have children, adopt.
Donations, maybe?
Yeah, because
what's
a matter of...
What's interesting is secularists make more money than Christians.
Okay, where are you pulling that from?
Yeah, I mean, these would be different studies, but generally speaking, they do make about 10% more than Christians on average.
Hang on, you're saying that atheists get paid more than Christians? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not talking about like a wage gap. I'm just saying that secularists tend to be more educated. That's like the one thing that they beat Christians in. Like they tend to go to higher education.
That has now invoked the problem.
Well, because no, if you wait, let me finish my answer, please.
Hold up, you have... Okay.
See, I'm not debating you. I'm answering a question, right?
Yep. Go for it.
Okay. No, so I'm just saying that atheists generally have a little bit higher education, and that also leads to a little bit of higher income. So that's where I'm getting that from.
One more time?
Yeah, atheists tend to have higher education, more people in college. More atheists per capita go to college than Christians right now, and that leads to a little bit higher income. And that's why I say that secularists have higher income in general.
So that would also lead to a higher decline in birth rate.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
So now I'm seeing it as your statistics are skewed on basis simply just due to the aspect of an atheist will decide to go to college, which pushes back their ability to have children, which pushes back their financial stability, So I just see it as a domino effect that all starts with, and I know this isn't what you wanted to do when you brought
It's
this
all
up.
based on the same secular ethics, though. That's the thing.
No,
The re-
it's a matter of right now I'm understanding. Hold up. Right now I'm understanding your argument as Christians don't go to college, therefore have the money to
No.
adopt, have the money to try for children, and have the money to donate.
No.
On
I'm gonna give you
average.
like another
People
minute.
who go to college
Stallion.
make more money, dude.
Oh yeah, we do need to get to the
Yes.
other guest. So let's try to get it.
Okay.
Oh, is that it? Okay, go ahead, Missy.
My question was gonna be to Calvin. I really would like you to narrow down and give me your definition of secular ethics.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can try to. I'll be honest. This isn't like I'm not good at the whole definition thing. Yes. I mean, I guess bottom line is at this, because like I don't think that there is any solid secular ethics, quote unquote. Again, so I mean, it kind of comes down to that which is best for society, that is based on the reasoning amongst other humans, right? Like without the interference or what's the word I'm looking for? The divine intervention, for lack of a better word, I guess you could say, right? So just deciding what is best for society amongst our human selves and not involving a God concept into it.
And then the second question and last question is, how long did you have to prepare for this debate?
I don't know. It was probably like 2 weeks or something. I don't know.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Okay, thank you. Dan,
That's supposed to be a shot at me, by the way. Like, oh, you didn't prepare for the debate. I feel like that was supposed to be a shot.
I mean, it was just a question, right?
Nah, you know what you mean.
You're not being professional.
I'm not a professional. I don't care.
all right. Dan, you want to go with your question, comments, concerns, or critiques?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Okay, I'm muted.
Well, I read the prompt and it said, "What's better for society, Christian ethics or secular ethics?" And actually, I was hoping to have that kind of answered when Unquestioned was talking. I just joined not too long ago, so I'm not really sure where we left off here. But when we say secular ethics, are we just saying like ethics that aren't being associated with any particular religion, or can someone define that for me? Like, what are we trying to say here?
I would say that it's ethics that are independent of a God belief. So there's no God language being used in, the conversation being had about whatever ethical. Geez, I'm just getting lost for my words. I'm all tired. Ethical dilemma that we might be facing, right? Just without any of the God language in there.
Got it. Okay. Because the reason why I ask is because, like, if we look at, I'm in the United States, and I'm sure you guys, most of you probably are too, but in the United States, I mean, the laws that we have, they're secular, right? Or I guess I'm just trying to understand, how do we differentiate between what a Christian ethic is with what a secular ethic is? I would like to understand that if anyone else, maybe a Christian, Question sounds like you might not be a Christian, but if a Christian can maybe answer that, maybe I could better answer the question.
Well, it is tough to pin down what Christian ethics and secular ethics are. There is no like one Christian ethic, one secular ethic, but the way that I like to approach it is basically what is the kind of shared consensus among the two, right? When you meet a Christian, you can kind of guess what some of their moral principles are. When you meet a secularist, you can kind of guess what some of their moral principles are. Even some of the normative ethics, like I don't know how to say the word on TikTok. I haven't been on here as much, but when you terminate a pregnancy, I guess is the way you could put it. Like, you can kind of guess based on those beliefs where a person falls on that. But that's not true of everybody within those or who hold to that ethical system, right?
Okay, got it. That makes sense. I guess that's a tough one, man, because that's really tough to answer. Because, like you gave a good example, right? Which is, terminating a pregnancy. I mean, in the United States, there's a Christian majority over here, and I would say, surprisingly enough, a lot of the people who are pro of this, right? Pro, I don't. Can we say it? I don't. Is that like censored? Is that we're not allowed to say that?
I would ask Coco. I don't know. I'm not on TikTok too much.
I think you can
You
say
seem to
it.
be careful.
Or
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay, I didn't think I've always heard it in other lives. I didn't realize it wasn't until Wi-Fi kind of censored it that I maybe double guessed it. But
Also, really quick, I'm gonna run the poll again just in case everybody didn't vote. It's this blue clipboard up here. There's 34 people in here. Please vote. I know the pink thing was like covering it. It was like floating across the screen, but let's do it one more time. Everybody, click on that blue clipboard in the corner of the screen and please vote. Thank you.
I do not see the blue clipboard.
Oh, you don't see it? Oh, should be.
I can see it.
I see a timer.
I can
Oh,
see
okay, I guess click on that timer if you see it like right there.
I missed the debate, so I can't really decide there. But I guess what I'm saying is a lot of being in a majority Christian state. Surprisingly enough, a lot of people who are pro-abortion identify themselves as Christian. So it's like I don't even know. That's what I'm saying. It's so. How do I even draw the line here between secular ethics and Christian ethics?
It's proportionally.
Right. Well, but proportionally, are we just like? Is this like do we pull statistics and decide is that what we're doing? Like we're just comparing statistics here? 'Cause I can only give my
Pew
experience.
Research has, I don't know if I think they're called Pew Research. They've done a bunch of questionnaires like this, and I think it's like 70% of Christians are anti-abortion.
Got it. Okay, I'm not familiar with the statistic. I mean, I guess abortion could be one of them, but I feel like generally, I mean, when it comes to ethics, if that counts as an ethic, right? I mean, or if we're getting into morality or whatever, it seems like abortion is really what it's abortion, and immigration, and maybe like one other thing that I'm probably not thinking of right now that maybe a lot of people seem to debate a lot on. But I feel generally everything else, most people on both sides will agree, will kind of share the same ethics. So I guess to kind of answer that, we would have to really look at those main issues that are the most divisive, and then decide whether or not it's whether it's objectively better for society for it to be one way or the other. But I think the fact that it's so well contested because it's so controversial, it doesn't seem definitive as to whether it would be better or worse. But
Last thing I'll say, I know you missed the debate, but that's the reason I brought up all these statistics. Like for example, a lot of people I saw in the comments may not agree that less divorce is a good thing. I would actually pretty easily make that argument that it is. But for example, adoption, like I'm pretty sure everybody agrees that more adoption is better for society. And like the statistics I brought up were conservative Protestants are 65% higher of adoption rate. Catholics are 33% higher, and non-religious are the lowest adoption rate in all models. And then it's not just adoption, right? That's why I brought up birth rate, adoption, divorce, outcomes for children, donation, charity, and money and time, higher rates of happiness, life satisfaction, lower rates of unaliving, depression, substance abuse, less likely to commit crime, and better workplace ethics and integrity. I think if you take all of those into consideration, and there are plenty more, then you see those who are Christian do better in all those categories. And they do so because, as Calvin admitted earlier, people generally act based on their beliefs and based on their ethical systems.
Got it. And I can see that. Are we now when we say these statistics?
Really quick, I would let it go on, but we do have to get to the other guests to be respectful. But,
Yeah, I was about to say I gotta head out anyways, but yeah, I guess thanks guys for being here. I mean, thanks for having me and stuff. Wi-Fi Gospel again, and everyone who asked questions and stuff. Thanks guys for having me. I really did have a good old grand time. So I mean, we got to do it again sometime.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, man. Nice to meet you.
For sure. Nice to meet you too. All right, guys. I'll see you later.
See you later.
Man, that's terrible.
Oh, or do you want to ask him a question real quick before he leaves, Prince?
You want to ask me something real quick?
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm just like, So you said that you had 2 weeks to prepare for this, but yeah, every time people ask you to define what secular ethics are, you're like, oh, I'm not sure. It's my opinion. It's these people's opinion. They're like, it just doesn't make sense. What are we debating about?
Yeah, man. So like my thing is like I don't know if you know like who I am or like what I do, but like my thing is like I don't do debates like formal debates like these, and I actually made that totally clear in the private chat between Coco and Wi-Fi Gospel that I was not looking for a formal debate like that because that's just not what I do, and frankly, I don't think that they actually get us anywhere. Like having these like formal debates like where we all take turns and stuff like that. I don't think anyone gets anywhere, right? Like I think that we're literally just waiting for our turns to speak type of thing. But so I do stuff on my channel, but I don't call them debates. They are conversations because we are just two people talking, right? I don't have a whole setup where I'm pulling up statistics or anything like that. I just literally talk to people, right? But we had, and as commenters are screaming and crying about, we had a mutual understanding between the three of us that that's how this setup was going to go. So that's just, how it went. I didn't prepare for anything. I do work a full-time job and, I'll be honest, it's retail and it is Christmas season. So I'm working a hell of a lot. And I also have other responsibilities, right? So like I literally, barely had time to write my little intro thing that I did. Because I have other things to do. I'm a content creator and I have a full-time job and family and friends and stuff. Just, I was looking for a conversation, not a debate. So that's why I didn't come loaded up with any of the, statistics or anything. I'll be honest, I do have a bunch of Bible verses noted just in case we wanted to get into some Bible stuff. But that's really all I have ready because, again, guys, I was looking for a conversation, not a debate, to be honest.
You wanted to have a conversation. I mean, you mentioned that you have some Bible verses written down. You wanted to have a conversation where you persuade somebody, hey, you have an idea of what your moral grounding is, and I want you to think that it's wrong, but I don't actually have a concrete idea of what I think is correct. I actually might be influenced by other people and where I live, and other people might disagree with me, but they're not going to be wrong, and we can't actually know what's right or wrong.
Yep, I said all of that, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, that might come off a bit abrasive, but it's just confusing. Why even interact on? I don't know.
No, I don't see what the problem was. We're just two guys having a conversation, and like again, guys, like none of y'all were in the private chat that we had, where we said that we were gonna have a conversation. So that's what I was framing it as. That's why I didn't come quote unquote prepared any more than this because I think that we get to better conclusions and better understandings of each other when we're actually having legitimate like talking to people like we're just humans walking past each other on the side of the street rather than waiting for our turn to throw the next statistic or the next, big numbers or something like that. Like it's just not what I do. It's never what I do. I'm just not interested in it. And it's not what I agreed to. So that's just what it is.
Yep. Well, and then we'll get to the last question, techers, and then that'll be it for the night. But you're free to go, Unquestionable Calvin. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate
For
your
sure.
time.
Thanks. We'll see you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I had a question for wife. I actually had two. My first one was, do you only have observational studies that you're listing for this causal claim, or do you have any experiments?
No, absolutely. So the way social sciences generally work is by these studies, but I do have some information here of why it can, it's not obviously correlation does not equal causation, but that doesn't mean that we can't see by these studies that the beliefs that these people hold is what causing them to act this way. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm just pulling this up. So temporal ordering, right? A lot of these are longitudinal studies. For example, we see there was a study where there was 70,000 nurses, and nurses are, unfortunately, they have really high depression rates and unaliving rates, probably because of the physical trauma that they see on a day-to-day basis. And we saw that men, the men who became more religious throughout I think they studied them for 5 years. The men who became more religious had a 34% or something like that less unaliving rate, and the women who became more religious over that time had a 68% less. And the people who moved away from religion had higher rates of unaliving. So there's studies like that show that. What else? We have consistency across context is a big one. So like it's not just like if I just had one study up here, then you could say, well, okay, I don't really see how that proves anything. But the fact that across all these different areas, Christians do better in all of them by far, it's reasonable to conclude that the reason they're acting this way is based on their beliefs as a Christian.
So first on the first study you listed, that kind of just like is baked into the observational study nonsense I'm talking about. But like if you say a large amount of observational studies is what supports this causal claim, what I would just say that it supports any possible confounding variable just as much. So you'd have to show me some type of like blocking done in the studies, and I haven't even looked at the studies. So if you could like drop them in the chat, the strongest ones you think that exist, so I could see who did the study and how they did it. But if there's no like category of blocking based on, I don't know, wealth, gender, all that stuff, it just seems very supportive of another confounding variable that's possible, not the actual
Yeah, I
belief
mean,
system. And I can give an example, like just
well,
like
that study I gave you had gender, right?
yeah, gender, but that's like one of the blockings considered. And I also don't know how they did it or who did it. And I also just find that to be one observational study. And also, there's also like confounding variables you can think of, like just a larger social circle that comes with religion. Maybe it's not necessarily the beliefs that produce this. So there's like a lot of confounding variables that aren't dealt with. And I don't think Calvin really pressed you on that. So
Yeah, I mean, either way, we just see like, and this is actually across countries too. For example, in Japan, they have their culture there isn't like they don't focus on charity. And you know, some people say maybe it's the social systems that are in place or whatever. But the Christian population is like, it might even be less than 1%. It's extremely small. And yet the rates at which they give are like 10 times higher than the rest of the population, not in amount, but proportionally. And so like you can literally do these studies across the world and get the same results. Another one is, I think it's like New Zealand and Switzerland, right? The atheists like to bring up the fact that those countries have higher self-reported life satisfaction and happiness. And it's true than like a country like America. But when you also look at the religious aspect, those who are more religious in those countries report higher life satisfaction than those who are not religious in those countries. So when you take the variables into consideration, the Christians still come out on top.
So this doesn't really answer the question, because I can grant all of this. I can say the studies were done correctly. It was done by the correct people as well. How do you account for this not just supporting another confounding variable that comes along with any type of belief system, like a larger social circle, or just more consideration of their beliefs in general?
Yeah, so I mean, I would just say that even if it's just based on the larger social circle, right? Christians have larger social circles, therefore they do better. That would still be points for Christianity.
Just be points for a large social circle, not the beliefs posited in Christianity or any religion.
Right. But atheists have smaller social circles. So if you become a Christian, you'll have a larger social circle and you'll be better for society. So it's still believe in Christianity, be better for society.
So you're saying there's like some indirect cause from being like a religious person, that larger social circles implies that you become a better person, but then that would just be talking about whether larger social circles are more important. And if you say like religious beliefs imply that, then there would need to be some like causal claim there as well.
Well, I think the
I'm
causal
just
there
making-
is to
I'm
go
just
to
making it-
church,
I'm just
right?
making like an anecdotal claim. That could be the case.
Christians go to church, and so they have obviously access to this community that a secularist is obviously not going to have access to. But if that's the case, then if we're going to use that, that relationship, couldn't we apply that to any other religion that goes to a church or has any kind of like community?
Yeah, I can see like doing sports is better for society because you have a larger social circle. So like, yeah.
So that argument no longer becomes Christian ethics; it's just religion in general, right? How do we?
It's not really an
separate
argument.
those
It's
two.
just,
Well,
just
not
a
an
combining
argument, I
variable.
guess. Right.
So yeah, and so when you say Christian ethics, you're talking about the beliefs, not what it causes, like the social circle, whatever.
Okay. With
I just have one more question for Wi-Fi. Sorry,
for it.
I don't know if Calvin pressed you on this, but there's obviously negative implications with the belief in Christianity or any other religious belief, like in the past. I mean, how do you think that outweighs compared to the potential positive outcomes of the stats you said.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Like the obvious negative implications of religion in the past, and how do those like outweigh the potential positive ones that you listed?
Well, I would just say that it's the same among secularists. There was obvious negative results from secularism in the past, and so how would we avoid it in the future? That's a problem for everybody, not just Christians.
Yeah, but I could like say that 90% of like slave owners were like Christian. That doesn't get me to like causal claim, does it? So it's kind of doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah, I just don't think it's an argument against either Christianity or secularism.
But it would be like the same type of argument that you gave, saying that there are stats where a large portion of people who do bad things in society are part of this religious group.
Again, it would be the same for secularism, like in communist countries where the leaders were literally telling people to get rid of religion by force, by unaliving everybody. So, I mean, you can literally say the same thing about secularism, so I don't think it's an argument against either.
But I think there's like a very large, obvious difference in scale between the religious ones, especially Christianity versus secularism. Like, I mean, if you just think about maybe even the current things, like just the ideas of like Agartha or like other things like that are joked about because of the things that have been caused in the past.
What was the joke? Sorry, I missed it.
No, it's random. I don't want to say it again, but like, it's pretty obvious that like the negative Christian effects or just like religious effects outweigh the secular ones, because you list like a communist society, which is like very 1960s, 1970s, that stuff. Well, there's like a whole era past that, and in the behind of that I'm talking about, like chattel slavery, like even in the Islamic countries of slavery. So
yeah, I mean, in secularist societies there was mass slavery and forced labor as well.
Talking about the scale of the difference, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter about the scale; it matters about the proportion.
Hold
I'm
up.
pretty sure the proportion applies
What
to the
is
scale
a
difference.
secular society?
Also, if could we get to a conclusion to this? I am wanting to hop in my bed and probably do editing, but no, it's totally cool.
Yeah, if we want to do an open panel one time where I come on and debate this topic, I would love to do that.
Oh, yeah, honestly, yeah, I could do that one of these days. But yeah, you guys can finish up and then I'll get to editing.
I just got a raid from a friend on YouTube, so I'm gonna go say hi to those guys. But if you guys want to DM me, like Techers, I know you said you wanted the studies. I don't think I can drop them in chat, but I can DM you my document.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Hold up.
Meet you guys. Thanks
What
again,
a
Coco.
secular society was?
What's that?
Did we ever state what a secularist society was?
Yeah, just like a majority secular society, like Japan.
Like, who was the examples for those?
Like, I mean, off the top of my head, I know Japan is a modern day like secular society.
So comparing modern day Japan to who else in modern day? Because I would argue America is just a mixed secularist, non-secularist.
Right. I would agree with that too.
It's still
Like,
a
I don't
majority
believe-
Christian society.
Okay, so comparing Japan to America, better healthcare, better childcare, better schooling.
Well,
Agree or
when you
disagree?
compare nations, it gets actually a lot tougher. That's why you try to compare the people within the nations, because nations obviously differ dramatically. That's why one of the studies that I could pull up the study, I don't have it with me, but in Japan, Christians give way more than secularists, and they have the same type of social services and everything.
Once again, I'm
But
going to
in
need
Japan,
the
they
financial
have-
breakdown and
What?
a per popula.
Anyway,
I'm going to need
the-
per 1,000 people and a financial breakdown.
okay. And again, I don't have a study.
Wi-Fi has to go, so maybe like in the DMs, like.
Okay.
Yeah, hit me up. We'll go through it.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Contra.
Yeah.
All right, have a good night, guys.